Well, hiya. I've just come back from the World Championships in Slovenia, where I was asked to be part of the squad on the bank, helping out with things that are going on. The team is incredibly strong for England. We've got so many great anglers in this country, and it's it's just a privilege to be there and be part of it. I haven't been part of European squad and what have you before. I think when you go out and you go away on something like the World Championships, the key thing is that you all need to pull together and work together as a team and try and figure out as much as you can in order to apply it on the day of the match. And I think that was my mindset going out there. Myself and Matt Godfrey travelled together to try and gain as much information from other teams and from what we've seen whilst the England team are fishing, to try and pass on any bits of advice that we can. That was the job I could do. The anglers are that good, they got to do the fishing job. It was a real learning experience as well, I think. I mean, if you go there narrow-minded and think to yourself that you're just going to go and watch them fishing and not take anything away, then I'm sure that's what would happen. But I definitely went there thinking to myself, I can learn from this, I can see some things that are going to help me in the future, and I think that was the best way. And I know that that was really what happened on the trip, because I spent 8 days with Matt Godfrey, which is probably enough to send anyone insane, but during those 8 days we found ourselves constantly talking about the fishing. I was never bored in his company because we were always talking, learning, developing about the fishing, as if we were fishing the match. It was really, really good. The week went well for the boys, really up and down like I expect. It's not a case of all trying to win every session. All the lads are trying things, experimenting. You know, anglers will try things, which means they might not catch a great deal, but that's how you learn. You always learn more when somebody does something and doesn't catch, I think, than those that might catch a few, because you do rule out certain types of technique. It's important to get that balance between the two, otherwise you don't really get anywhere. But no, it was a really, really good week. The match length was really interesting. It was split into 2 different areas. One of the areas was in this in sort of the main town, if you like, where all the presentation was held. And in that area that was C, D and E section, that varied. You had depths from, I don't know, say probably 3 meters the shallowest to 10 meters. I mean, 10 meters deep, that's a very, very deep piece of water. And basically what you have is you need to adapt your feeding, your rigs and everything to suit the depth that's in front of you. We're catching fish. The main species of fish there was vimba. It's like I've said before, when on the last couple of trips I've been on, I've actually been to this venue last year with Barnsley in the World Club Champs, where I had a really a good time catching these vimba, and also at the recent World Club Championships where we caught those vimba in Slovakia. So I felt like over the last sort of 12 months I've gained quite a lot of experience on these type of fish. Alan Scotland was on those 2 trips as well, and I know that he was carrying a lot of extra confidence based on his learnings from those 2 trips. So that was always going to be good. Catching these fish is ever so difficult. They feed in a strange way. We've been lucky enough to watch them off a shallow bridge, and they turn while they feed. You miss a lot of bites, you hook a lot of fish in and around the mouth. They're very difficult fish to fish for, but it makes them very interesting. Weights, you were looking for anything from probably the lowest weight that was going to do you any good was 6 kilos. That was in the top of E section, but generally speaking you would look at more like 10 to 15 kilos, with the individual world champion Yuri from Russia winning with 19 and 17 kilos of big vimba. That is fantastic fishing. You're talking 40 pound plus of vimba on a pole from a river. That really is fantastic fishing. There was also a lot of barbelling. Will Raisin did exceptionally well second day catching some barbel. I think he caught around 8, 9 or 10 barbel even. He came second in his section from a peg that I just didn't fancy for any vimba, so he changed and fished the right way, so he did really well there. Alan Scotland caught a 4 kilo carp in amongst his fish. Again, you know, some people might say it's luck to catch a bigger fish. I totally disagree. I think the way in which the England team were fishing, they were always giving themselves a chance of that fish. So, you know, when Alan hooked it, he's got to get it out, which when you bear in mind it's nearly 10 metres deep where he's been, he's got to land it with 13 metres of pole in the air, a great bit of skill. So that gave him the section winning weight, which was fantastic. Down the bottom end, A and B section, they were completely different. Really strange, really. That was a complete out and out small fish race. I'd probably say they were the fairest two sections. We got it touched wrong there first day. The techniques were interesting. There was whip fish to be caught, there was long pole fish to be caught, but they were all a lot smaller. 6 kilos was going to be a fantastic weight there. I actually thought 4 kilos would get you sort of top 5, top 6 in your section. I think the whole team thought that, and I think actually a lot of teams thought that. On the day, the weights improved, the fishing was a little bit better. You actually needed 6 kilos for that position in the top of your section, with sometimes 100 grams, 150 grams separating 5 or 6 anglers, which is unbelievably tight. You're talking about 6 ounces separating 5 or 6 anglers, so every small fish counted. When we adjusted our technique slightly for the second day, it was brilliant because came back with a second and third. Sean Ashby did brilliant to come second, beaten by one of the local anglers who caught me out. I was running Sean's section. I thought Sean was going to be top 3 in the section, but I didn't have this particular angler in the frame. But he'd done very well for Slovenia. He'd fished a long pole and caught better stamp fish. So even though Sean had 400 fish, the Slovenian only had 200, but still managed to weigh a kilo more further up in the section. But a great performance from Sean. And Steve Hemingway came in second day, down in A section, and put in a fantastic performance to come third. He fished slightly differently, targeting better stamp fish, and caught over 7 kilos. So the fishing really was fantastic. I think our weights for the team were something like 2 6 kilos, 7 kilo, 15 kilos and 13 kilos. I mean, they are fantastic weights from a river. Bearing in mind the pegs are 15 metres apart, you can tell how good this venue was. Really very, very good. I mean, some people were saying at the end that the diversity in the venue isn't right for a World Champs. It should have the same depths and everything else. Personally, I thought it was excellent. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't have my gear there, having to sort out all these different options, but from a spectator's point of view and from an angling brain point of view, it really kept you on your toes thinking about the different methods and approaches. So, you know, I would personally love to see that in the future. You know, if countries feel they've got 2 good venues in close proximity, why not? If it's going to make for a championships as good as that was. England had a poor first day. They had 2 terrible pegs in my opinion first day, where they were always going to struggle. Left them in 9th with 32 points, I believe. We were ever so disappointed. Everybody was disappointed that evening, but in true style of this team, I don't think anyone was beaten. I mean, I think the first thing that Alan Scotland said was, well, we've got to win 5 sections tomorrow. That's the mentality that you're talking about, having a positive mentality. Really love to see that from the boys. It was a great thing to be a part of. And they went into day 2 thinking, we can still get a medal here. I think everybody thought that it was an outside chance. It was very unlikely. But, like I've said already, Alan won his section, Will second, Sean second, Steve third, and Des 5th again. And Des's section was so tight. You know, he fished ever so well. And the team scored 13.5 points. I think it was joint 5th. 13.5 points on the world stage is an incredible score. An absolutely incredible score. And it catapulted them to 3rd. Only about 5 or 6 points off second and 10 points off winning it, which really was unthinkable on Saturday night. So an absolutely tremendous performance from the team. Italy won it with Hungary second. Italy have had a harder last couple of years, but I was ever so impressed with them. Some great performances from them throughout the match. I felt they had it bang right. I mean, they scored 12 points first day, which was the score of the weekend. An unbelievable performance, with then sort of 20 odd the second day, which I think gives you an idea of the slightly peggy nature of the venue. But overall, Italy, Hungary, France, Poland, Italy, Hungary, England, Poland, France, I believe made up the top 5. Czech Republic might have been 5th, actually France 6th. They were probably the 6 strongest teams on the bank. So even though the venue was slightly peggy and slightly unfair, it still came out on top, the top teams, which is why I love team fishing. And it really was a tremendous event. Congratulations to all the organisers. It was nice from my point of view. I've taken a lot away from it. It was nice to see some English guys there, made the journey out to travel, learn, pick up some stuff. I know the guys that went learnt a lot. If you're ever thinking about it, honestly, you can book a cheap flight. The accommodation's good. Usually where they've booked the venues doesn't tend to be too expensive. You get a chance to visit a beautiful country such as Slovenia and watch what are, in my opinion, and I have no doubt, the best anglers in the world. The World Championships are the best coarse fishing nations in the world with their best anglers on the bank. You will never get a better chance to watch them. It's not like in the past where there was 3 or 4 teams. In the last 10 years there is now 20 teams capable of winning this event. So I think the excitement that brings, and the styles and the commitment and the standard it's had, really does make it exciting for the future. And if you get a chance, get out and watch it, because it will make you a better angler. I certainly feel like a better angler now I've come back. I suppose I'll best sort this lot out, because I couldn't take it with me, so I'll sort this out. Got some interesting fishing coming up. I'm off on Loch Ken next weekend. Sorry, in a couple of weeks' time it is, for a 2-day float fishing festival. I'm really excited about that. It's supposed to be really good fishing. White Acres, Home International, all coming up within the next month. So a really busy time for me at the moment. And then we'll see what happens from there. But just thought I'd catch you up with the World Champs. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope there's a little bit of information there for you. And I'll see you next week. Cheers, bye.